We had just arrived at the secluded cabin, and as I stood by the trunk of our car, I inhaled deeply, savoring the crisp, fresh air. The city seemed worlds away. Olivia, who had been bubbling with excitement for this escape, already had her favorite book and a sun hat ready. The plan was simple: we would unwind from the grind of everyday life, and I had signed up for photography classes with the renowned photographer, Ethan. It was supposed to be a rejuvenating experience for both of us. Olivia seemed particularly thrilled by the idea of having the entire cabin to ourselves. I was eager to dive into my courses, hoping to learn from one of the best. The first day went off without a hitch. Ethan's introduction was both inspiring and challenging. He spoke of capturing raw, unfiltered moments, and I couldn't wait to put his teachings into practice. But as the days went by, I began to notice something odd. Olivia would frequently disappear for hours at a time. Each time I asked where she was going, her response was vague. She claimed she needed some me time, which I understood but found a bit peculiar given how much she'd been looking forward to this retreat. One afternoon, I returned early from my class, eager to share the day's lessons. I found Olivia's phone lying on the kitchen counter. Normally, she'd never leave it unattended. A quick glance revealed a series of messages on the screen. They were filled with playful banter and intimate suggestions. The name that kept appearing was Alex. My heart sank. I tried to brush it off, thinking it was some harmless flirting, but the frequency and tone of the messages suggested otherwise. I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized the depth of their exchange. Determined to understand more, I dug through her phone and discovered a hidden folder of photos. Each image showed Olivia not just alone, but in various poses and locations, suggesting she had been spending significant time with Alex. I tried to remain calm, but my unease grew. Olivia's behavior was becoming increasingly suspicious. That evening, while I was waiting for her to come back, I overheard her speaking on the phone. Her tone was affectionate and flirtatious, unmistakably different from how she spoke with me. The name on the call display confirmed my fears: it was Alex. I wanted to confront her immediately, but the thought of creating a scene was unbearable. Instead, I decided to follow her discreetly. My heart pounded as I watched her from a distance. Meeting Alex near the edge of the forest. They embraced and shared a moment that left no room for doubt. Feeling betrayed and devastated, I returned to the cabin. Olivia and Alex were completely unaware of my presence. The next morning, I packed my things silently, leaving a note that I needed to return to the city for work. I didn't have the strength to face Olivia and confront her directly. Instead, I left the cabin and the love I thought was ours behind, while they remained there, oblivious to the storm that had just passed through our lives. I drove back to the city with a heavy heart, my mind reeling from the revelations of the past few days. The usually comforting hum of the engine was a stark contrast to the chaos inside me. Olivia's betrayal felt like a jagged wound, and I struggled to make sense of the events that had unfolded. Back at home, the familiar surroundings only served to heighten my sense of loss. I attempted to focus on my work, but the images of Olivia and Alex together haunted my thoughts. The fleeting moments of peace I had hoped to find in our cabin had been shattered beyond repair. The first thing I did when I returned was to call Ethan and explain that I would be unable to continue with the photography course. He was understanding but surprised by my abrupt departure. I couldn't bring myself to tell him the real reason for my early exit. It seemed too personal and painful to share. The days that followed were a blur of routine and numbness. I kept busy with work, trying to push the memories of the cabin to the back of my mind. Despite my efforts, I found it impossible to escape the nagging questions. How long had Olivia been seeing Alex? Was our entire relationship a lie? I reached out to friends and family, seeking solace and advice. Their support was invaluable, but their well-meaning words of comfort often fell short. They couldn't truly grasp the depth of my pain or the complexity of the situation. One evening, as I was scrolling through my emails, I received a message that made my heart skip a beat. It was from Olivia. The subject line read, "Can we talk?" I stared at the email for what felt like hours, torn between my desire for closure and my fear of further heartbreak. Reluctantly, I agreed to meet her, though I had no idea what I would say or how I would handle the confrontation. The meeting was arranged for a small cafe downtown, a neutral ground where we could talk without the pressures of home. When Olivia walked in, she looked different. Her usually vibrant demeanor was replaced by a more subdued, almost fragile presence. She hesitated at the door, and I could see the uncertainty in her eyes. We exchanged pleasantries, but the tension was palpable. I struggled to find the right words, my anger and sadness swirling within me. Finally, Olivia broke the silence. "I'm so sorry," she said, her voice trembling. "I know I've hurt you, and I don't know how to make it right." I looked at her, searching for any sign of genuine remorse. "How long has this been going on?" I asked, my voice cold and unyielding. She took a deep breath before answering. "It started a few months ago. I didn't mean for it to get so complicated. But I lost sight of what was important." Her confession did little to ease the ache in my chest. I felt a mixture of anger and sorrow, but I also recognized that I needed to decide how to move forward. The relationship we had built over the years now seemed fragile and irreparably damaged. As the conversation continued, Olivia expressed her regret and her desire to work things out. She spoke of therapy and reconciliation, but I struggled to believe in the sincerity of her promises. By the end of the meeting, I was left with more questions than answers. I needed time to process everything and to decide whether there was a path forward for us. The road ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: the trust we once had was now shattered, and rebuilding it would be a monumental task, if it was even possible. The weeks following my meeting with Olivia were a turbulent mix of reflection and emotional upheaval. I spent most of my days at work, immersing myself in tasks to avoid facing the reality of our fractured relationship. At night, however, the silence of my apartment was deafening, and I was left alone with my thoughts. Olivia called and texted regularly, each message an attempt to bridge the chasm between us. She spoke of therapy sessions, promising that she was committed to making things right. Despite her assurances, I struggled to see past the hurt. Each conversation seemed to open old wounds rather than heal them. One Saturday morning, driven by a need for clarity, I decided to visit the cabin. It felt like the last place where I could find any semblance of understanding or closure. The cabin had been a sanctuary, a place where our life together had seemed perfect. I needed to confront the memories, to see if they could offer any insight into what had gone so wrong. As I arrived, the place looked just as serene as it had during our trip. The same trees, the same peaceful lake. But now, it felt different, tainted by the knowledge of Olivia's betrayal. I walked through the rooms, each space echoing with fragments of our past. The cabin seemed almost mocking in its tranquility. In the bedroom, where we had shared so many intimate moments, I found a photo on the nightstand. It was a picture of us, taken during one of our happier times. I picked it up, studying our smiles, trying to reconcile the image with the current reality. The stark contrast between the past and present made the pain more acute. I decided to look around more, hoping to find something that might explain Olivia's actions or help me understand her better. I came across a journal in the drawer of the bedside table. It was hers. With trembling hands, I opened it, hoping it might shed some light on her thoughts and feelings. The journal was filled with entries about our relationship, but as I delved deeper, I found a section that was more troubling. Olivia had written about her growing dissatisfaction and the allure of someone new, Alex. Her words were candid, revealing a side of her that I hadn't known. It became clear that her feelings for Alex were not just fleeting but had developed into something significant. The realization hit me hard. Olivia had been unhappy for a long time, and instead of addressing it with me, she sought comfort elsewhere. The betrayal was not just in her actions but in the way she had chosen to handle her discontent. Sitting there in the dim light of the cabin, I felt a wave of resignation. The cabin, once a symbol of our shared dreams, now felt like a monument to our broken trust. I closed the journal and placed it back where I found it, feeling a profound sense of finality. I left the cabin with a heavy heart, knowing that returning to our previous life was no longer an option. The trust that once held us together had been irreparably damaged, and no amount of therapy or apologies could undo the hurt. As I drove away, I resolved to face the future with a renewed sense of self, even if it meant moving forward alone. Returning to the city, I focused on establishing a new routine. My days were filled with work, gym sessions, and attempts to reconnect with friends. I busied myself, trying to push thoughts of Olivia and Alex to the background. Yet, despite my best efforts, the memories of the cabin and the betrayal lingered. One evening, a month after my visit to the cabin, I was at a bar with a friend. As we were catching up, my phone buzzed with a message from Olivia. She had reached out again, requesting another meeting. I hesitated but eventually agreed. I wanted closure, even if it meant facing more pain. We met at a quiet restaurant, a stark contrast to the cafe where we had last spoken. Olivia arrived early, and when she saw me, her face was a mixture of hope and anxiety. We greeted each other with an awkward hug, and then sat down at a corner table. "I know I've hurt you," Olivia started, her voice trembling. "But I've been doing a lot of thinking. I want to make amends, to truly understand what went wrong and how we might fix it." I looked at her, feeling a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. "You've had a month to think about it. What have you realized?" Olivia took a deep breath. "I've realized that I was unhappy, but instead of facing it, I ran away. Alex was a distraction, and I made a terrible mistake. I should have talked to you about my feelings." Her honesty was a bitter pill to swallow. I listened as she detailed her journey through therapy and self-reflection. She spoke about her regrets, the changes she was making, and her desire to rebuild trust. "I want to show you that I'm committed to this process," she said earnestly. "I'm not asking for forgiveness right now. But I want the chance to prove that I can change. That we can change." I was torn. On one hand, Olivia's words were sincere, and I could see she had made genuine efforts to understand her actions. On the other hand, the pain of her betrayal was still fresh, and the road to forgiveness seemed daunting. "What are you asking from me?" I finally asked. "What do you want to achieve from this conversation?" "I want us to start from a place of honesty," she replied. "To work on the issues that led us here. I know it won't be easy, but I believe we can find our way back if we're both committed." Her plea was earnest, and part of me wanted to believe that reconciliation was possible. But another part was deeply skeptical, wary of diving back into a relationship tainted by betrayal. After a long pause, I responded, "I'm willing to give us a chance, but it has to be on new terms. We need to rebuild trust from the ground up. It won't be quick or easy, but if we're both committed, we can see where it leads." Olivia's eyes filled with tears, but this time, they seemed to be tears of relief. "Thank you for giving me this chance. I know I have a lot to prove, but I'm ready to put in the work." As we finished our meal and said our goodbyes, I felt a complex mix of hope and trepidation. The journey ahead would be uncertain, and the scars of betrayal would take time to heal. But for now, I was willing to take the first step toward rebuilding what we had lost, uncertain of the outcome but open to the possibility of renewal. The weeks that followed were a delicate dance of rebuilding and rediscovery. Olivia and I began attending couples therapy, hoping that professional guidance would help us navigate the turbulent waters of our relationship. Each session was emotionally draining but offered moments of clarity and insight. The therapy sessions revealed the depth of our communication issues. Olivia spoke openly about her feelings of dissatisfaction and her inability to express them before turning to Alex. I, in turn, shared how I had been oblivious to her discontent, focused more on my ambitions and daily routines than on the emotional health of our relationship. We were both challenged to confront uncomfortable truths. Olivia had to face the reality of her actions and their impact on our trust. I had to recognize my own shortcomings and the ways I had contributed to our problems. Despite the pain, these revelations were crucial in understanding the root causes of our issues. Outside of therapy, we tried to implement small changes in our daily lives. We started with simple gestures, regular check-ins about our feelings, and dedicated time for each other without distractions. We hoped these small steps would help us reconnect and rebuild our bond. One Saturday, we decided to revisit the cabin, the place where everything had unraveled. I was apprehensive but agreed, believing that confronting the side of our past could be a step toward healing. Olivia and I made the trip together. And the drive was quiet, filled with unspoken tension. Arriving at the cabin, the familiar surroundings felt both comforting and daunting. We spent the day revisiting the places that had once been significant to us. Olivia seemed emotional as we walked through the rooms, reflecting on the memories we had shared. We talked about our hopes for the future and acknowledged the difficulty of moving forward. That evening, we sat by the lake, watching the sunset. The serene beauty of the scene was a stark contrast to the storm of emotions we had been through. We talked about our feelings openly, allowing ourselves to be vulnerable. Olivia expressed her remorse once again, while I shared my fears about trusting her fully again. Despite the progress, there were moments of doubt. I found myself questioning whether the changes we were making would be enough to mend the broken trust. Each step forward was accompanied by a nagging fear that things might fall apart again. As the weekend drew to a close, we packed up and prepared to leave. The cabin, once a symbol of our idyllic retreat, had become a place of painful memories but also a site of tentative hope. We left with a renewed commitment to work on our relationship, aware that the road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges. Back in the city, our therapy continued, and we made a concerted effort to apply the lessons we had learned. The journey was far from smooth, there were setbacks and moments of frustration. Yet, there were also glimmers of progress, moments when we felt a genuine connection and understanding. The path to healing was gradual and required constant effort from both of us. We knew that forgiveness and trust would take time to rebuild. But as we navigated this uncertain terrain together, we were reminded of why we had chosen to stay and fight for our relationship. The future remained uncertain, but we were determined to face it together, step by step. Months passed, and the routine of our renewed efforts became the new normal. Olivia and I continued our therapy, diligently working on our communication and trust issues. The process was arduous, but there were signs of progress, albeit slow and incremental. One evening, as I was scrolling through my calendar, I realized that our wedding anniversary was approaching. It was a bittersweet reminder of both the joy and pain our relationship had experienced. I debated whether we should acknowledge the day at all, given the turbulence we'd been through. Olivia, however, seemed determined to make the occasion special. She suggested a low-key celebration, emphasizing that it could be an opportunity to reflect on our journey and renew our commitment to each other. Reluctantly, I agreed, feeling a mix of apprehension and hope. We decided to celebrate at a small restaurant that had been significant to us before the issues arose. The night of our anniversary arrived, and the atmosphere at the restaurant was cozy and intimate. Olivia had chosen a beautiful dress, and as she walked in, I couldn't help but admire her effort to create a memorable evening despite the challenges we faced. Over dinner, we reminisced about the good times we'd shared and talked about our dreams for the future. Olivia expressed her gratitude for the opportunity to rebuild our relationship and her commitment to making it work. I, in turn, shared my hopes and fears, acknowledging the progress we had made while still grappling with the pain of the past. As the evening wore on, we found ourselves more at ease. The tension that had accompanied us at the start of the night gradually dissipated. We laughed, enjoyed each other's company, and, for a few hours, it felt like we were reconnecting on a deeper level. The anniversary, once a symbol of our struggles, began to feel like a testament to our efforts and resilience. After dinner, we took a walk by the water, the night air cool and refreshing. It was a peaceful end to a day filled with mixed emotions. We talked about our future plans, discussing potential vacations and activities that could bring us closer together. The conversation was filled with a sense of cautious optimism, as if we were tentatively stepping forward into a new chapter of our lives. Despite the positive moments, the shadow of past betrayals still lingered. I knew that rebuilding trust would be a continual process and that old wounds could reopen with little warning. However, seeing Olivia's genuine effort and hearing her heartfelt words provided a glimmer of hope that perhaps we could find our way back to each other. As we ended the night, we returned home with a renewed sense of commitment. The anniversary had been a reminder of our shared history and a symbol of our determination to move forward. We were not yet where we wanted to be, but the evening had given us a small victory, a moment of connection and affirmation amidst the ongoing struggle. The journey ahead remained uncertain, but we were both willing to face it with honesty and dedication. Each step forward was a testament to our resilience and our hope for a future where trust and love could be rekindled. For now, we chose to embrace the progress we had made and to continue working towards healing and renewal, one day at a time. The months rolled by, each one a mix of progress and setbacks. Our relationship had become a constant effort, a delicate balance between hope and fear. We continued our therapy sessions, and while we made strides in understanding each other, the shadows of the past never seemed far away. One day, while going through some old photos, I stumbled upon an image of Olivia and me from years ago, before the betrayal. The sight of our younger selves, full of unguarded joy, was both comforting and painful. It served as a reminder of the love we once shared and the journey we were now on to recover it. As spring approached, Olivia suggested that we take a weekend trip together to a new location, hoping that a change of scenery might help us strengthen our bond. I was hesitant but agreed, thinking that perhaps a fresh environment could offer a new perspective. We chose a quaint bed and breakfast in a small town known for its scenic beauty and tranquility. The weekend arrived, and we set off, both of us feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. The bed and breakfast was charming, with cozy rooms and a welcoming atmosphere. The owners were friendly, and their warmth made us feel at ease. We spent our days exploring the town, visiting local shops, and enjoying leisurely meals together. During the trip, I noticed a gradual shift in our interactions. There were moments of genuine laughter and connection that had been missing for a long time. We talked about our experiences, dreams, and even our fears, but with a sense of renewed intimacy. It was as if the change in scenery had allowed us to see each other with fresh eyes, giving us a chance to rediscover the reasons we had fallen in love in the first place. One evening, we took a walk along a picturesque riverbank. The setting sun cast a warm, golden glow over the water, creating a serene and almost magical atmosphere. As we walked hand in hand, I felt a sense of peace and clarity. The tranquil surroundings seemed to reflect the progress we had made in our relationship. We talked about the future, about our hopes for continuing to rebuild our trust, and about the commitment we had made to each other. That night, as we lay in bed, I found myself feeling more hopeful than I had in a long time. The trip had not magically fixed everything, but it had given us a chance to reconnect and remind ourselves of what we were working towards. The vulnerability we shared during our conversations was a step forward, a signal that we were both willing to face our challenges together. As we returned home, there was a renewed sense of optimism. We knew that the road to recovery was far from over and that there would still be difficult moments. However, the weekend had provided us with a small victory, a glimpse of the possibility that, with effort and sincerity, we could rebuild our relationship. The trip had been a reminder of our resilience and the love that still existed between us. It was not a solution to all our problems, but it was a significant step in the right direction. We returned to our daily lives with a sense of renewed purpose, ready to continue working on our relationship with the hope that we could eventually emerge stronger and more connected than before. Back from our trip, the daily grind resumed, and we settled into our routine. The renewed sense of connection we'd felt on our getaway was put to the test by the pressures of everyday life. Work, chores, and the mundane details of living together began to overshadow the progress we had made. One evening, Olivia came home visibly stressed from work. She was irritable and short-tempered, snapping at me over minor issues. I tried to be understanding, but the tension between us was palpable. It felt as though the fragile progress we had made was unraveling before my eyes. Recognizing that we needed to address this growing distance, I suggested we have a dedicated conversation about what was troubling her. Olivia agreed, and we set aside time that weekend for a heart-to-heart discussion. We decided to hold it at the same bed and breakfast we had visited, hoping that the familiar environment might help us navigate this new challenge. Arriving at the bed and breakfast, we were greeted with the same warmth as before. The setting seemed to offer a sense of calm and comfort, reminding us of the positive experiences we had shared on our last visit. We settled into our room and took a walk around the grounds, trying to ease into the conversation that awaited us. Once we were settled, Olivia began to talk about the mounting pressures at work and how they were affecting her. She spoke of feeling overwhelmed and unsupported, and how these feelings were spilling over into her interactions with me. It was a side of Olivia I hadn't fully understood before, and hearing her speak so candidly helped me empathize with her situation. I shared my own frustrations and fears, particularly about how our progress seemed to stall whenever we faced external stress. We discussed the need for better communication and how we could support each other through challenging times. It was a raw and honest exchange, filled with moments of vulnerability. The conversation was intense, but it also offered valuable insights. We realized that our previous efforts at rebuilding trust had been somewhat superficial, and we needed to address deeper issues if we wanted to make lasting changes. We agreed to be more proactive in supporting each other and to seek help if we found ourselves struggling with external pressures. That evening, as we sat by the fireplace, we felt a renewed sense of commitment. The conversation had been difficult, but it also provided a clearer understanding of each other's struggles and needs. We both recognized that rebuilding our relationship required not just effort in good times but also resilience in facing challenges together. The weekend retreat, while not solving all our problems, reinforced the importance of communication and mutual support. It reminded us that the journey we were on was ongoing and required continuous effort. As we left the bed and breakfast, we felt a mix of hope and resolve, understanding that our relationship was a work in progress that demanded both patience and perseverance. Back home, we made a conscious effort to implement the lessons we had learned. We committed to regular check-ins, not just about our relationship but also about how we were handling external stressors. The road ahead was still uncertain, but we were determined to face it together, with a clearer understanding of how to support each other through both the smooth and the rough patches. Our renewed efforts to rebuild our relationship were tested in unexpected ways. With Olivia's work stress and my own professional pressures, maintaining balance required constant vigilance. However, the commitment we had made to each other continued to guide us through the turbulence. One day, as I was heading home from work, I received a call from Ethan, the photographer I had taken courses with. He wanted to catch up and invited me to an art exhibit he was hosting. I hesitated but decided to go. It had been a while since I'd seen him, and I felt it was important to reconnect, especially given the emotional turmoil I'd experienced. The exhibit was held in a chic gallery downtown, filled with stunning photography and an array of art enthusiasts. Ethan was thrilled to see me and introduced me to some of his new works. We talked about life, art, and how our personal experiences had influenced our creative pursuits. His insights were refreshing and provided a much-needed distraction from the stress of my personal life. During our conversation, Ethan mentioned he had been following some recent events in the news and asked how I was coping with everything. I took a deep breath and briefly shared my ongoing challenges with Olivia. Ethan listened empathetically and offered some thoughtful advice. He emphasized the importance of understanding and communication in any relationship, especially during tough times. As the evening progressed, I found myself drawn into a meaningful conversation with other guests. Their diverse perspectives on life and art provided a new lens through which I viewed my own situation. It was a welcome change from the constant focus on the issues Olivia and I were facing. Returning home later that night, I felt a renewed sense of clarity. The conversations at the exhibit had reminded me of the importance of maintaining my own identity and interests, even while working on our relationship. It was a balancing act that I had struggled with, often putting Olivia's needs ahead of my own. The next day, I shared my experience with Olivia. I told her about the exhibit, the conversations I'd had, and the advice Ethan had given me. Olivia was genuinely interested and seemed to appreciate the perspective I gained. It led to an open discussion about the importance of personal growth and maintaining individual interests within a relationship. We both agreed that finding a balance between our individual needs and our shared goals was crucial. It wasn't just about addressing the issues that arose but also about nurturing the aspects of ourselves that contributed to our personal fulfillment. We decided to explore new hobbies and interests together, aiming to support each other's growth while continuing to work on our relationship. Olivia took up painting, something she had always wanted to try, while I delved deeper into photography and art. It was a way for us to reconnect with our passions and find joy in our individual pursuits. The exhibit and the conversations I had there became a turning point in our relationship. They reinforced the idea that while rebuilding trust and intimacy was vital, maintaining a sense of self and pursuing personal interests were equally important. We both embraced this new approach, recognizing that it could help us grow both individually and as a couple. The path ahead was still filled with uncertainties, but we faced it with a renewed sense of hope and a clearer understanding of how to balance our needs and desires. A few months had passed since our last significant breakthrough. Olivia and I had been working hard to maintain the balance between our personal growth and our relationship. Our commitment to individual interests and shared activities had brought some stability to our lives, but the journey wasn't without its hurdles. One crisp autumn weekend, we decided to attend a local festival that celebrated art and culture. The festival was a vibrant affair, featuring local artists, musicians, and food vendors. We hoped that immersing ourselves in the festive atmosphere might offer a break from the routine and further strengthen our connection. As we wandered through the festival, the lively energy and colorful displays provided a refreshing contrast to our previous weeks of intense emotional work. We explored art booths, sampled various foods, and enjoyed live music performances. The day was filled with moments of genuine enjoyment and laughter, and for the first time in a while, the weight of our past struggles seemed lighter. Amidst the festivities, we came across a booth offering couples' portraits. The artist was setting up his equipment and welcomed us to participate. On a whim, we decided to have our portrait done, thinking it might be a fun way to commemorate the day. As we posed for the portrait, the artist engaged us in conversation. He asked about our relationship and the journey we had been on. We shared a bit about our efforts to rebuild trust and the challenges we faced. The artist's words were insightful and comforting. He spoke about the importance of capturing the essence of a relationship in moments of genuine connection, rather than focusing solely on the difficulties. The portrait session turned out to be more than just a fun activity, it became a moment of reflection. As we looked at each other through the artist's lens, we were reminded of the love and commitment that had initially brought us together. The portrait, though simple, captured a genuine moment of us reconnecting and enjoying each other's company. Later that day, as we sat on a park bench, we reflected on the experience. The festival had provided a welcome distraction and allowed us to see each other through a fresh lens. The portrait, in particular, became a symbol of our progress, a visual reminder of the connection we were working hard to rebuild. We talked about how the day had shown us that while our journey was challenging, it was also filled with moments of joy and reconnection. The festival and the portrait had reinforced our belief that even amidst the struggles, there were still opportunities for shared happiness and growth. As we drove home, we felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. The festival had reminded us of the importance of celebrating the positive moments, no matter how small, and using them as a foundation for further growth. The portrait, now framed and hanging in our living room, served as a constant reminder of our commitment to each other. It wasn't just a depiction of us on a particular day, but a symbol of our ongoing effort to rebuild and cherish our relationship. With the changing seasons and the progress we had made, we approached our future with cautious optimism. Ready to face the challenges together and celebrate the moments that reaffirmed our bond. The journey ahead remained uncertain, but with each shared experience, we strengthened our resolve to build a future grounded in trust and love. As winter approached, the atmosphere in our home shifted. The long, dark evenings and colder weather seemed to mirror the complexity of our relationship. Despite our progress, the weight of the past still lingered, and the strain of maintaining our efforts felt increasingly palpable. One December evening, Olivia and I decided to attend a charity gala. It was an event we had been invited to by a mutual friend, and we saw it as an opportunity to dress up, enjoy a night out, and maybe reconnect in a different setting. The gala promised a festive atmosphere with music, dancing, and a sense of community, which we hoped would offer a welcome break from our routine. The event was held in a grand, elegantly decorated ballroom. The ambiance was vibrant, with holiday decorations and a warm, festive spirit. We mingled with other guests, enjoying the evening's activities and trying to embrace the joy around us. Olivia seemed more relaxed than she had been in weeks, and I noticed a glimmer of the old sparkle in her eyes. During the evening, we were seated at a table with several other couples. As the night progressed, conversations flowed, and the laughter around us created a sense of ease. At one point, Olivia and I were asked to share our story with the table. We hesitated but decided to be honest about our journey, framing it as a story of growth and resilience. Our openness sparked a meaningful conversation about relationships, trust, and personal growth. The other couples shared their own experiences and offered advice and support. It was refreshing to hear different perspectives and to realize that others faced their own struggles, albeit in different ways. Later in the evening, as we danced to a slow song, Olivia leaned in and whispered how much the night had meant to her. She felt it had provided a much-needed reprieve and a chance to see our relationship from a different perspective. I agreed, acknowledging that the gala had reminded us of the importance of embracing both the struggles and the moments of joy. As the night wound down, we left the gala feeling a renewed sense of connection. The evening had been more than just a distraction, it had offered us a chance to celebrate our progress and reflect on the support we had received from others. The shared experiences and advice from the other couples had been a reminder that we were not alone in our struggles. Returning home, we found ourselves more attuned to each other's needs and feelings. The gala had acted as a catalyst for deeper reflection and appreciation. We continued to face challenges, but the evening had reinforced the value of celebrating our progress and seeking support from those around us. In the weeks that followed, we made an effort to incorporate the insights we had gained into our daily lives. We prioritized moments of joy and connection, whether through small gestures or shared activities. The gala had been a reminder that while rebuilding our relationship was a journey fraught with difficulties, it was also filled with opportunities for growth and celebration. The winter months passed with a mixture of challenges and victories. We faced each day with a renewed sense of purpose, guided by the lessons learned from our experiences and the support we had received. The road ahead remained uncertain, but we approached it with a strengthened resolve, ready to embrace the journey and cherish the moments of connection along the way. The arrival of spring brought a renewed sense of optimism to our relationship. The days were getting longer, and the promise of warmer weather seemed to infuse our lives with a fresh burst of energy. Olivia and I had been working diligently on our relationship, and the progress we had made was beginning to feel more tangible. One weekend, we decided to take a short trip to a nearby town renowned for its beautiful gardens and outdoor activities. The idea was to escape our usual environment and immerse ourselves in nature. Hoping that the change of scenery would offer us a chance to further reconnect and recharge. We arrived in the town and checked into a charming bed and breakfast nestled in the countryside. The inn had a lovely garden, and the surrounding area was filled with blooming flowers and lush greenery. It was the perfect setting for a peaceful getaway. The first day of our trip was spent exploring the town's famous botanical gardens. The vibrant colors and fragrant blossoms were a feast for the senses. As we strolled through the gardens, we talked about our hopes for the future and how we wanted to continue nurturing our relationship. The serene environment provided a calming backdrop for our conversations, and I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the progress we had made. In the evening, we attended a local festival celebrating the arrival of spring. The festival featured live music, artisanal crafts, and delicious food. We enjoyed sampling local treats and participating in various activities. The festive atmosphere was a welcome distraction from the stresses of our everyday lives and allowed us to focus on the joy of being together. One of the highlights of the festival was a workshop on mindfulness and meditation. We decided to participate, thinking it might be a useful tool for managing stress and improving our communication. The workshop was insightful, teaching us techniques for staying present and being more attuned to each other's needs. The mindfulness exercises we practiced that day had a profound impact. We found ourselves more aware of our thoughts and emotions and better able to communicate with each other. It was a reminder of the importance of being present and actively engaged in our relationship. Returning to the bed and breakfast that evening, we reflected on the day's experiences. The trip had been a success, offering us both relaxation and new insights. We felt more connected and were reminded of the importance of creating positive experiences together. Our time in the town had also given us a chance to explore new hobbies. Olivia had taken up gardening, inspired by the beautiful landscapes we had seen, while I had begun to experiment with nature photography. These new interests allowed us to continue growing individually while strengthening our bond as a couple. As we headed back home, we felt a renewed sense of commitment to our relationship. The trip had not only provided a much-needed break but had also reinforced the importance of shared experiences and personal growth. The season of renewal mirrored our own journey, with each day offering new opportunities for connection and growth. We continued to face challenges, but the evening had reinforced the value of celebrating our progress and seeking support from those around us. In the weeks that followed, we made an effort to incorporate the insights we had gained into our daily lives. We prioritized moments of joy and connection, whether through small gestures or shared activities. The gala had been a reminder that while rebuilding our relationship was a journey fraught with difficulties, it was also filled with opportunities for growth and celebration. The winter months passed with a mixture of challenges and victories. We faced each day with a renewed sense of purpose, guided by the lessons learned from our experiences and the support we had received. The road ahead remained uncertain, but we approached it with a strengthened resolve, ready to embrace the journey and cherish the moments of connection along the way. The arrival of spring brought a renewed sense of optimism to our relationship. The days were getting longer, and the promise of warmer weather seemed to infuse our lives with a fresh burst of energy. Olivia and I had been working diligently on our relationship, and the progress we had made was beginning to feel more tangible. One weekend, we decided to take a short trip to a nearby town renowned for its beautiful gardens and outdoor activities. The idea was to escape our usual environment and immerse ourselves in nature, hoping that the change of scenery would offer us a chance to further reconnect and recharge. We arrived in the town and checked into a charming bed and breakfast nestled in the countryside. The inn had a lovely garden, and the surrounding area was filled with blooming flowers and lush greenery. It was the perfect setting for a peaceful getaway. The first day of our trip was spent exploring the town's famous botanical gardens. The vibrant colors and fragrant blossoms were a feast for the senses. As we strolled through the gardens, we talked about our hopes for the future and how we wanted to continue nurturing our relationship. The serene environment provided a calming backdrop for our conversations, and I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the progress we had made. In the evening, we attended a local festival celebrating the arrival of spring. The festival featured live music, artisanal crafts, and delicious food. We enjoyed sampling local treats and participating in various activities. The festive atmosphere was a welcome distraction from the stresses of our everyday lives and allowed us to focus on the joy of being together. One of the highlights of the festival was a workshop on mindfulness and meditation. We decided to participate, thinking it might be a useful tool for managing stress and improving our communication. The workshop was insightful, teaching us techniques for staying present and being more attuned to each other's needs. The mindfulness exercises we practiced that day had a profound impact. We found ourselves more aware of our thoughts and emotions and better able to communicate with each other. It was a reminder of the importance of being present and actively engaged in our relationship. Returning to the bed and breakfast that evening, we reflected on the day's experiences. The trip had been a success, offering us both relaxation and new insights. We felt more connected and were reminded of the importance of creating positive experiences together. Our time in the town had also given us a chance to explore new hobbies. Olivia had taken up gardening, inspired by the beautiful landscapes we had seen, while I had begun to experiment with nature photography. These new interests allowed us to continue growing individually while strengthening our bond as a couple. As we headed back home, we felt a renewed sense of commitment to our relationship. The trip had not only provided a much-needed break but had also reinforced the importance of shared experiences and personal growth. The season of renewal mirrored our own journey, with each day offering new opportunities for connection and growth. We continued to face challenges, but with the tools and insights we had gained, we approached them with greater resilience and understanding. Spring had ushered in a new chapter for us, filled with hope and the promise of continued progress. We were learning to balance our individual needs with our shared goals and were ready to embrace the journey ahead with renewed optimism and dedication. As summer approached, Olivia and I were feeling optimistic about the future. Our relationship had made significant strides, and we were beginning to feel more secure in our renewed connection. The lessons we had learned and the progress we had made provided a strong foundation for moving forward. One day, Olivia surprised me with tickets to a weekend music festival. It was something we had talked about wanting to attend but hadn't gotten around to planning. The festival was known for its lively performances and vibrant atmosphere, and I was excited to experience it with her. We arrived at the festival early to make the most of the weekend. The grounds were filled with colorful tents, food stalls, and excited festival-goers. We spent the day enjoying live music, exploring the various art installations, and soaking up the festive energy. It was a welcome break from our usual routine and a chance to enjoy each other's company in a joyful setting. Throughout the weekend, we noticed a change in our interactions. The festival provided a relaxed and carefree environment, allowing us to let go of some of the tension that had been lingering in our relationship. We laughed, danced, and enjoyed each other's presence without the usual pressures and concerns. One evening, as we watched the sunset from the festival grounds, we found a quiet spot away from the crowds. We talked about how the festival had been a reminder of the importance of finding joy and spontaneity in our relationship. The shared experiences and carefree moments had strengthened our bond and reminded us of the fun we could still have together. The festival also gave us a chance to reflect on how far we had come. The progress we had made in our relationship was evident in our ability to enjoy such a carefree experience without letting past issues overshadow our happiness. It was a testament to the hard work and dedication we had put into rebuilding our trust and connection. Returning home, we felt a renewed sense of energy and commitment. The festival had been more than just a fun weekend, It had reinforced the importance of celebrating the positive moments and making time for joy in our lives. We continued to incorporate the lessons we had learned into our daily routine. We made a conscious effort to prioritize activities that brought us happiness and to support each other's interests and passions. The summer had become a season of celebration and renewal, marking a turning point in our journey. The challenges we faced were far from over, but the experiences and insights gained from the festival provided a valuable perspective. We approached our relationship with a sense of optimism and a commitment to maintaining the positive changes we had made. As we moved into the heart of summer, we embraced the opportunities for growth and connection that lay ahead. The journey of rebuilding our relationship was ongoing, but with each shared experience and each step forward, we felt more confident in our ability to create a future grounded in love, trust, and mutual support. As autumn arrived, Olivia and I decided it was time to focus on the next phase of our journey together. With the summer's joy behind us, we needed to reassess our progress and confront any lingering issues. The season of change seemed like the perfect backdrop for this reflection. We planned a weekend getaway to a secluded cabin in the mountains, hoping that the tranquility of nature would provide a peaceful setting for deeper conversations. The cabin was rustic but cozy, surrounded by vibrant fall foliage. It felt like an ideal place to reconnect and evaluate our relationship's growth. Upon arriving, we settled in and spent the first day exploring the surrounding trails. The crisp air and stunning scenery were invigorating, and the time spent hiking together allowed us to enjoy each other's company in a relaxed environment. It felt good to be away from our usual routines and distractions. That evening, we sat by the fireplace, reflecting on our experiences over the past year. We revisited the challenges we had faced and the progress we had made. The quiet and solitude of the cabin provided the perfect setting for this introspective conversation. We discussed our achievements, such as our improved communication and the new hobbies we had embraced. However, we also acknowledged the areas where we still struggled. Despite our efforts, there were moments when old patterns resurfaced, and we realized that we needed to address these issues head-on. The conversation turned to our goals for the future. We talked about how we could build on our progress and continue to strengthen our relationship. We both agreed that while we had made significant strides, there was still work to be done to ensure lasting change. One significant topic we addressed was the need for ongoing support. We realized that while we had grown individually and as a couple, it was crucial to seek external help if necessary. We discussed the possibility of attending couples therapy to gain additional tools and insights for maintaining our progress. The idea of therapy was initially daunting, but we recognized its potential benefits. It could provide us with professional guidance and strategies to navigate future challenges more effectively. We agreed to research options and consider it as a proactive step toward ensuring our relationship's continued growth. As the weekend progressed, we found solace in our discussions and the peaceful surroundings. The cabin retreat had allowed us to step back from our everyday lives and gain clarity on our relationship's trajectory. We felt a renewed sense of purpose and commitment to addressing our remaining challenges. Before heading back home, we took a final hike through the autumn woods. The vibrant colors and serene landscape mirrored our renewed optimism and determination. We embraced the season of change with a sense of hope and readiness to face the future together. Returning to our daily lives, we felt more grounded and focused. The retreat had provided us with valuable insights and a clear plan for moving forward. We were committed to continuing our journey with a balanced approach, combining our personal growth with mutual support. As autumn unfolded, we approached our relationship with a renewed sense of dedication. The lessons learned from our cabin retreat became a guiding force in our efforts to build a stronger, more resilient bond. We were prepared to face the future with confidence, knowing that our commitment to each other would carry us through whatever challenges lay ahead. As winter set in, Olivia and I faced the final stretch of our journey with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. The progress we had made was undeniable, but we knew that maintaining our gains would be a continuous effort. The colder months offered a time for reflection and consolidation of the lessons learned. To mark the end of our year-long process of rebuilding, we decided to host a small gathering with close friends and family. It was an opportunity to celebrate our journey and share our experiences with those who had supported us along the way. The idea was to express our gratitude and to reflect on how far we had come. The gathering was held at our home, which we had decorated with warm, inviting touches to create a cozy atmosphere. We prepared a simple but elegant menu, focusing on comfort foods and festive treats. Our guests arrived, and the evening began with heartfelt conversations and laughter. During the gathering, Olivia and I took a moment to address our guests. We shared a brief overview of our journey, highlighting the challenges we had faced and the progress we had made. We spoke about the importance of support, both from each other and from those around us, and expressed our gratitude for the encouragement we had received. Our friends and family responded with warmth and support. Many shared their own stories of overcoming challenges and offered words of encouragement. The evening was filled with a sense of shared understanding and camaraderie, reinforcing the idea that we were not alone in our struggles. As the night wore on, we took time to enjoy the company of our guests and to celebrate the positive aspects of our journey. The gathering became a testament to the resilience of our relationship and the support we had from our loved ones. It was a reminder of the importance of celebrating milestones and acknowledging the progress we had made. In the days following the gathering, Olivia and I reflected on the evening and the experiences we had shared. The support and encouragement from our friends and family reinforced our commitment to each other and our relationship. We felt a renewed sense of confidence in our ability to face future challenges together. Winter continued to unfold, bringing with it the promise of new beginnings. We approached the season with a sense of closure and readiness for the future. The gathering had marked a significant milestone in our journey, and we were prepared to build on the progress we had made. With the end of the year approaching, we set new goals for ourselves and our relationship. We focused on maintaining the positive changes and continuing to grow together. The experiences of the past year had taught us valuable lessons about resilience, communication, and the importance of mutual support. As we moved into the new year, we carried with us the lessons and insights gained from our journey. The winter months provided a time for reflection and renewal, setting the stage for a future filled with hope and commitment. We embraced the new year with optimism, ready to continue our journey with the strength and resolve that had guided us through the past year. Our relationship was not perfect, but it was stronger and more resilient than before. We faced the future with confidence, knowing that we had the tools and the support needed to navigate whatever challenges lay ahead. The lessons of the past year had prepared us for the next chapter, and we were ready to embrace it with open hearts and a renewed sense of purpose.